two friends, Larry and Jim. I always said they broke into the house one day into my room and picked me up and carried me to the car and took me out. I was living in Tucson, Arizona, where I'm living now again. Took me out to watch the sunset and to drink wine and to have cheese and to recognize that there was still beauty in the world. And this actually became a turning point for me. I began to ask myself, how does one live fully when every day we experience our dying, when every day I knew that I was dying? And I recognized that one of the things I needed to do was change my worldview.
To get into the optimum state, I distanced myself from everything and everyone that was causing me stress. Cleared that out. Internally, I started changing the relationships with my internal stresses. I learned to relax at a much deeper level. I realized that our body, biologically, its deepest healing is when we're asleep. That's when the deepest cellular processes of healing going on. So the more I could bring myself into a state of rest, approaching sleep when I was awake, the more I'd be getting myself into a biological healing state. But to do that when we're awake, we really need to get the mind aligned with that. So the optimal healing state for healing is the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, which means you need to relax.
So here's some of my suggestions. One would be meditation and prayer. I mean, I think that was a big part of my healing, that positive mental attitude, the ability to take a deep dive and look into your own personal growth. It's part of everybody's living process. For us, the dying process actually gives us an opportunity to make it a priority, but I think that's really important. And of course, diet, supplementation if necessary, looking at your gut health, all things to help your body heal from the inside while you're making all these other changes. And you got to make sure that you don't make things worse while you're trying to get your gut healthy. So, stop doing things like getting around pesticides and, anything that you can avoid that's bad for you is a great place to start, and then start adding good things back in. For me, visualization was really important, to use some of that muscle memory. Excuse me. I had a lot of hobbies. I had a lot of sports that I participated in. So for me, using the memories that my body had about how to move were really important. Like the little harness up in the corner there. I put that climbing harness on, and I hung it from the ceiling over my treadmill. And even when I couldn't really walk and control my legs and the foot drop, I kept tripping over it, I would just close my eyes and let the treadmill just sort of move my legs and feel like I was walking, and let that just kind of reverberate in my body and in my brain, realizing that, this will come back, and just trusting it. Using the power of the imagination, basically, it's really important that whether you think about your visualizing or just imagining or just being positive about what you're doing, that you give that central nervous system a chance to recover and balance itself.
In 2017, I began to see some changes in a good way. Nothing was quick. I mean, you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or some days 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And we'll talk about even 2021, because it's been an interesting 2021. But in 2018 was my year for healing. I mean, it was amazing. Of all the things that were changing 2018, and by the end of 2018, 2019, the beginning of 2019, February, they were removing my trach, taking my peg tube out, went from the wheelchair, and over 2018, they slowly got me to a walker. And to this day, I'm actually no longer using a walker. As of about probably 2 months ago, I don't even use a walker anymore. So I began to, walk, breathe, eat, and speak. I could speak while I had, at a certain point, while I had the trach, because I did have it was probably a year I couldn't speak. But then as I was healing, they put a new trach in called a talk trach that I could, at least I could deflate the cuff. And, I could mumble some words, but at least I was able to communicate that in with the Tobii Dynavox. I had a Tobii to talk, and I would text people on the internet, whatever.